Hey everyone out there and here in the studio. Welcome to the Studio Milwaukee session with Rostam. The new album Half Light is out now on None Such Records. Rostam's playing tonight at Turner Hall. Please welcome to 889 Radio Milwaukee, Rostam.
Don't listen to me, I only believe myself. So I'm going somewhere to do that alone. And then I see it, the light falls through the room, and all of it don't seem so hard. Do you ever get the sense you're watching someone else, your face against the glass, across 11th Ave? Some people say they know, they never really know. They all wait for something that never comes to them. But all of these dreams keep coming back to me slowly, slowly. And sometimes I laugh when I think about how you know me, yeah, you know me. Wisdom comes to your heart, down a shaft from afar, pulls you out of bed and into the noise. Whoever's up this late, you're really still awake. Why can't you go to sleep like everybody else when all of these dreams keep coming back to me slowly, slowly? And sometimes I laugh when I think about how you know me, yeah, you know me. But all of these dreams keep coming back to me slowly, slowly. And sometimes I laugh when I think about how well you know me, yeah, you know me. But all of these dreams keep coming back to me slowly, slowly. Sometimes I laugh when I think about how well you know me, yeah, you know me. When I woke up from that dream, I was sleeping in a basement. Leaves were falling took a friend's car to the ocean. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Right now, you are tuned into a live studio session with Rostam. You can take away for another song and get another round of applause for Rostam.
Thank you. Late, you feel your heart begin to work, and now you're all dressed up with coats and hair and cabs out of your door. On 14th Street, I feel my head between my knees, and I'm swimming through the trees, and I'm swimming through the trees. Where could I go? What could I do? Couldn't escape my lips and eyes give me away, and now there's nothing I can say. I'm pulled away, I see another of myself who's found true love and happiness to sit and smoke there on the chair. Two boys, one to kiss your neck and one to bring you breakfast, get you out of bed. You're so from the night before, knocking at my door, your head against the floor. Two boys, one to let you sweet, you one that's so discreet, you never really need me. I'm sure that you'll catch your breath, you'll sleep until the day, to wake up with tonight in my sleep. Before I leave, I wanna try to go back in time. It's just that moment in my life where I should have spoke up, but I lied. As I sat there with my jaw open and I smiled and pulled the sweater off and tried to stay all but giving up on love, and I pulled away. I see another of myself who's found true love and happiness to sit and smoke there on the chair. Beside the bed, I read this past week's New Yorker and watch your pain and tired. I'll watch your pain and tired. Two boys, one to kiss your neck and one to bring you breakfast, get you out of bed. You're so from the night before, from knocking at my door, your head against the floorboard. Two boys, one to love you sweetly, one that's so discreet, you never really need me. I'm sure that you'll catch your breath, to sleep until the day, to wake up until there's something, but nothing, never the one thing I wanna hear you telling me something, but nothing, never the one thing I wanna hear you telling me something, but nothing, never the one thing I wanna hear. Thank you so much.
All right. It's a live studio session with Rostam here on 88.9. If you're listening on the radio right now, you are really missing out because you're not able to see this absolutely beautiful four-piece string section here. Can we give it up? Rostam, can you introduce your string players and drummer?
Yeah, I'd love to. This is Winton, Nick, Julian, David.
And drummer?
And the drummer is Jeff Curtin.
Give it up. Yeah, the first thing that I thought of when I was listening to this album was like, how on earth are you going to tour this? You know, I was like, how are you going to make all these songs come to light. Is this the full
Yes,
setup?
This is the crew.
This is the crew.
And then we also have a projectionist who's part of the show too. So because we have projections every show.
Ooh, Turner Hall tonight. See those projections. So thank you for joining us on this cold yet sunny day here in Milwaukee. But you are used to cold winters. You grew up in D.C. and then in New York.
Yeah, I lived in D.C. till I was 18, and then New York for the next 12 years. So
there you go. And in New York, you were at Columbia, and you were in this band Vampire Weekend. Could you describe your kind of role? You're listed as producer on a lot of that. Could you, producer is kind of like this nebulous name that is on things, but could you tell us what exactly you did for those albums?
Well, yeah, producer's a word. It can mean you start the song, or it can mean you finish the song. But really, technically, your responsibility is to deliver a finished recording. Mm-hmm. So, different producers have different styles, and I guess in some ways it's almost like a mentality. And in my career, I've pretty much every song I've been a part of, I've had the role of producer. So it's kind of like, it's something that I knew that I wanted to do as a teenager. And it was just, kind of something that I fell into, and then people trusted me and seem to continue to trust me.
I feel like that's not the kind of thing when you are like a teenager, you're like, I want to be, I want to play guitar, or I want to be lead singer. Why were you like, I want to be the producer?
I guess maybe because I loved Radiohead a lot, and I read all about Radiohead as a teenager, and I read about their producer Nigel Godrich, and I read interviews with him, and I would kind of I'd scour the internet for interviews with producers. Mm-hmm. It was just something that I knew that I wanted to do, and I was really into painting and drawing, and I would spend hours doing that. And I think when I discovered multi-track recording, which is basically just means when you can layer yourself, and when I discovered multi-track recording, I was like, oh, this is kind of like drawing, but with music. And I already liked music a lot, and I was just kind of like, oh, the pieces kind of are falling into place. Like, this is really what I love and what I'll probably want to do for the rest of my life.
So just arranging the sounds that are existing there, or that you make, and then kind of jigsawing those together into a song.
Yeah.
Well, you have produced songs for a ton of people, like Frank Ocean and Solange and Hamilton Lethauser and Carly Rae Jepsen and a lot of other people. When you're doing those songs, are you doing the song for them, or are you doing it with them?
Always with them, yeah. So much of the work of being a producer is, I think, getting somebody comfortable, and then building trust and being in a room together. Not always, but I think it has been for me. It's been a huge part of it. And there have been situations where people have walked into my studio and we've had nothing, and at the end of the day, there's a song there. So, where did that come from?
How much time are you spending with somebody on a song? What's the longest you've spent with somebody on one song?
With Carly Rae Jepsen, I'd never met her before, but I was a fan, and I did a rare thing I don't do very often, which is I just reached out through management. I was like, does Carly want to try writing a song together?
That's awesome.
And she came by the first day we ever worked together. We started on this song, Warm Blood, which we worked on and off for about 7 months. And every time we worked together, we added another part to the song. And then the song ended up on her album.
That is absolutely insane. 7 months on one song.
Well, but on and off.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're working on other stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. That album was so awesome, by the way. Anyway, so you were with Vampire Weekend, and now you released your debut album. And as producer, what's something that you've been able to do on this solo album that you weren't able to do when you're working with other people?
I guess I don't really look at it that way, because it's not like I don't look at making this record as kind of replacing work as a producer because I love doing both.
Yeah.
But I guess with this album, kind of like making like the whole world, like putting together how we perform it live, putting together the projections, which is something that like just brings me a lot of pleasure to create like an audio visual experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess, creating like the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, and when I listen to this album, it's like the soundscape is nuts. And I'm like, there's like all kinds of like world influences, and you can still hear like, I mean, you have like a sound that you kind of hear through all of your albums that you have like produced and worked on. But then you got like this other stuff where I'm like, I don't know what instruments there are going on here. I don't know like how these sounds are being made. Like, what's one of the weirdest instruments that you worked with on this song?
I guess on the song Rudy, that was a song where I changed keys a lot. Like I had the final version has like the first half is in one key and the second half is in another key. So there were situations where I was just like, I like the way this sound. Let me just try pitch shifting like all the piano parts, and so they kind of sound like crazy and cartoony, but like, you know, you'd never like try to get that sound if you were recording it deliberately, but it just ended up that way. So there's like a lot of sounds on that song Rudy that were like severely pitch shifted, but I like the way that they sounded at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. One of the other things is like you were, for the first two songs, you're not playing an instrument up here. You're up here by yourself. But how much of the instrument work on the album did you do?
Pretty much all of it.
Right? And I was like, what's the decision to be up here, to play all the instruments, do all the things, and then come up here and not have any of them?
Yeah, I guess I feel like maybe I spent 8 years playing instruments on stages, and it was time to switch it up a little bit.
I like that. Okay, your mom writes cookbooks.
That's true.
What is one thing that you miss about her cooking? One dish when she was growing up that she would make for you that you dream about?
You know, pretty much everything my mom makes is pretty amazing, but especially rice. The rice that she makes is...
What separates it?
My mom would say, like, the most important ingredient is love.
Oh.
So
it is.
Maybe
That's
it's
true.
that. No, I like it because it's very simple. I like simple food, and the white rice that she makes is just, it's like got the right balance of like just a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil, rice.
That was not what I was expecting. I was expecting something like intricate and like has all of these flavors and stuff. Rice.
I'm a simple dude.
All right, we are going into the third and final song here, and it's a very special one. Could you kind of go into this, explain this song a bit, why we're doing this one?
Sure. This song is a cover. It's by Nick Drake originally. It's from the album Pink Moon, and it's also called Pink Moon. And his version is just acoustic guitar, vocals, and a tiny bit of piano. And this version has a little bit more going on. So it was kind of fun to try to like imagine an alternate version.
Right on. All right, let's go into Pink Moon. This is a Studio Milwaukee session with Rostam.
Many
All right, give it up for Rostam.
Thank you, Milwaukee.
This has been a Studio Milwaukee session with Rostam. The new album is Half Light. It's out now. He's playing tonight at Turner Hall Ballroom. Thank you to everyone who came out for this. Thank you, everyone listening on the radio. Thank you to our food partner, Transfer Pizzeria and Cafe. Thank you, sound engineer Lodi. And, and thank you, Rostam.
Thanks.
Back to the studio.